Good evening. I'm Byron Scott with the CTV News Update. Local, state, and federal leaders joined members of Maryland General Assembly to push for measures aimed at improving rail service in Maryland. The new Carrollton Transit Center was the backdrop. Supporters say the Equitable and Inclusive Transit-Oriented Development Enhancement Act and the Maryland Regional Rail Transformation Act call for development at transit stops, significant upgrades on the MARC system, including the expansion of service into Western Maryland, Virginia, and Delaware. The measures would also mean funding over and above the $1.8 billion already secured under the infrastructure bill.
There's another $90 billion pot of federal money for rail that Maryland and others can compete for. And we need to be ready. Maryland needs to be ready to compete for that $90 billion so those investments can go to work right here in our community. And that's what both pieces of legislation here are all about.
Supporters say the bills will also create jobs in the region. Well, a fire rips through a house in Palmer Park early this morning. It happened at the 1800 block of Ray Leonard Road just after midnight. When firefighters arrived, they found flames coming from the roof of the building. 2 adults and 3 children evacuated safely. Investigators are working to determine the cause of that fire. Well, here are the COVID-19 numbers for our area. The State Health Department has confirmed 481 new cases since yesterday. For the first time since November 24, the positivity rate in Prince George's County has dipped below 3%. 26 Marylanders have died of the COVID since yesterday. 677 remain in the hospital. Well, Maryland Congressman Steny is weighing in on the Ukraine crisis. Hoyer was briefed by the National Security Council on Monday regarding Ukraine. He's expressing doubt about the Kremlin as Russian President Vladimir Putin says his country is willing to discuss security issues with NATO. And while there is word that Russia is withdrawing some troops from Ukraine's border, Hoyer says he is skeptical.
If they invade, the consequences in terms of the Ukrainian people and deaths and carnage that will occur are great, and the ramifications of our response from an economic standpoint to Russia and the Russian people, and very frankly to a lot of other people in Europe and in the United States, are going to be very negative. So I'm hopeful that Putin will follow international law. That's not been his practice, and reconsiders and does not do what will be a very damaging action, certainly to the Ukrainians, but also to the Russian people.
The Kremlin continues to dismiss claims that it's planning an invasion. And you're watching CTV News. I'm Byron Scott. Coming up, you still have time to sign up for Maryland's health insurance program. Details after the break. Stay tuned.
Both of my great-grandfathers have been a part of that study. My roots in environmental health come from my great-grandfathers. They were sharecroppers, and then later they were able to own land for their family for generations to come. My ancestors' connection to the land has given me a strong care for our environment and how that environment influences human health. I am a fierce advocate for equitable treatment for all. The ways in which COVID-19 ravaged Black communities showed that we have underlying vulnerabilities when something like a pandemic hits. The path from tragedy to triumph travels along the path of learning.
What's more dangerous? A man who isn't afraid of death or one who's found everything to live for? I asked him if he was proud of me. He emphatically said yes, as he laid his pecan-colored head on my chest, and I went through my mind 1,000 times to figure out what that could possibly mean, and every single example ended in motivation for me. So you may not be afraid to die, but I'm more afraid to let them down. And I found something to live for, which is a dangerous motive forever fueled. See, your thoughts may be involuntary, but my actions are very calculated. I was a man with a plan, but now I'm a dad with a decree, and you can't take that from me. My sons ain't raised by no coward, and they won't be one either. If this be the measure of a man, the yardstick gonna need way more meters. I take it too far, so they never come up short. because I found everything to live for.
Welcome back. Time is running out to enroll in insurance through Maryland Health Connection. The open enrollment period for private health insurance plans ends on February 28th. If you sign up by then, coverage will start on March 1st. So far, 25,000 Prince Georgians have enrolled through the marketplace. Andrew Ratner of Maryland Health Benefits Exchange says there are plenty of savings for everyone this year.
If you've looked at it before and you thought it was too expensive, we think you should really look again, because you might be surprised. And I think, as everybody has learned over the last few years, you just can never know what's going to happen next. So, we urge everybody to take a look and to get health insurance, to get coverage.
Now, the open enrollment period is just for private health plans. You can still sign up for Medicaid year-round. For more information, visit marylandhealthconnection.gov. Well, both chambers of the Maryland General Assembly iron out major differences regarding climate legislation. Supporters say those differences led to the proposal's collapse last year. The Climate Solutions Now Act of 2022 would take significant steps to reduce emissions from buildings.
Farmers are losing acreage of their farmland to what's called saltwater intrusion every day. They can't grow crops. You have places like downtown Annapolis, you have the Inner Harbor, where some businesses can't open their stores because of flooding. It's having a real material effect in our state, so we've got to be bold.
By 2030, the measure would also set the state's reduction of greenhouse gas emissions to 60% of 2006 levels. In addition, all water and heating systems in newly constructed buildings must be prepared to install solar energy and EV charging equipment instead of using fossil fuels. Well, the possibility of the U.S. Supreme Court overturning or weakening abortion rights prompts Maryland to increase statewide protections. Leading House members say they'll support a state constitutional amendment to protect those rights for women. House Speaker Adrian Jones introduced that proposal.
This session, we introduced bills that codify Roe versus Wade in Maryland's Constitution and provide the necessary funding and policy to changes to make sure that there's broader access to reproductive health care.
If approved by the General Assembly, the amendment will go on the ballot for voters to decide in November. Well, Maryland officials are warning residents about new unemployment insurance scams. Officials say scammers are contacting people via email, text messages, and phone calls claiming to be from the state unemployment office. Police say the fraudsters are obtaining information to steal unemployment benefits. Marylanders can report fraud scams by visiting the website on your screen. And still ahead tonight on CTV News, money problems for sports programs at the University of Maryland. Plus, we check in with your Pet of the Week. Stay with us.
1 in 365 African Americans battle sickle cell disease. I was one of them. Life back then was painful. I was in and out of the hospital and had frequent pain crises. A blood stem cell transplant is the only cure for sickle cell disease. I was fortunate to find a perfect match in my younger sister, but many patients do not have a compatible donor in their families, and Black patients have only a 23% chance of finding an unrelated donor. More Black donors are urgently needed to help save lives. It only takes a simple cheek swab to join the Be the Match registry. Learn more about becoming a donor and access free patient resources by visiting endsicklecell.org today. You or someone you know could be the cure for a patient battling sickle cell, like me.
To Sofia and Gabriel, mis flores, my little flowers. Even though these old knees can't follow on your adventure to the forest today, these flowers represent my love, so you can take me with you wherever you go, near or far. These stitches and threads join us together. Me, your mother, and both of you. And wherever you see a flower, a bird, a beautiful tree, know that my love is with you. as you bring our colorful stories to the world.
Make the forest part of your story at a park near you. Find one at discovertheforest.org.
Welcome back. A new bill looks to update the language and create more transparency in the state public records. Delegate Vaughn Stewart is the lead sponsor of House Bill 395. The bill would update the language of the Public Information Act and the State Records Management Program to include any written, electronic, recorded audio or video communications. This would apply to any state employee or public official conducting or receiving business for the state. The bill will clarify also that the Office of the Governor is part of the unit of government in Maryland.
The second part of this bill is really just a language modernization idea that we want to make sure that we're including as many different types of communication and reflecting the modern landscape. And so when governors work with the state archives to decide what's in or what's out, we want to make sure that in the huge pool of possible records they're deliberating in the pool is, for example, text messages and emails. Now, those may not ultimately be determined, that they have to go to the state archives and be preserved, but they at least are part of that discussion, that negotiation process.
The bill was cross-filed in the Senate. Both chambers held hearings on that measure yesterday. Well, the University of Maryland athletics program is experiencing a huge budget shortfall, and it's all due to COVID-19. That, according to the Baltimore Sun. The records show that the athletic program ended last fiscal year with a $21 million loss. Program revenue dropped 34%. You may recall the university prohibited fans from attending sports games on the campus to help stop the spread of COVID-19. And police have released the name of the man killed in a car crash in Capitol Heights. He is 56-year-old William Hill of the District of Columbia. That accident happening Monday morning at about 5 o'clock on the 2100 block of Kenilworth Avenue. Investigators say he lost control of his car and struck a Jersey wall. He was pronounced dead at the scene. Anyone who may have witnessed the accident is asked to call police. Well, turning now to our pet of the week. Looking to adopt something other than a cat or puppy? Well, the county's animal shelter wants you to know it has several pets hoping to hop their way into your home. The shelter has about 9 bunnies that will be a great addition to any family. Animal Management's Chief Rodney Taylor says they also make great starter pets for little kids. To care for your rabbits, Taylor says first you'll want to cover all the wires in your home.
You can cover your wires with a plastic sleeve, or you can just lift them up 3 feet in the air so that rabbits can't get to them. But that's one of the most important things. You want to rabbit-proof your home. And then you want to provide the rabbit with fresh hay. That's very important. You want to make sure you got good bedding for your rabbit. You want to make sure they have fresh greens to eat, fresh water at all times. But they have a wonderful personality.
Well, all rabbits will be spayed and neutered before you take them home with you. For more information, call 301-780-7200 or visit the website on your screen. Let's check now at our weather forecast tonight. Mostly cloudy with a low near 45 degrees. Thursday, mostly cloudy with evening showers likely, highs around 69 degrees. Or Friday, showers likely again, high temps near 53. Saturday, sunny skies with highs at around 50. And now for the community calendar, a Black History event for children takes flight this weekend at the College Park Aviation Museum. It's a storytime event entitled Flying Free, How Bessie Coleman's Dreams Took Flight. Born in 1892, Bessie Coleman was the first African American to become a pilot. For more information, call 301-864-6029. And that's your news for tonight. I'm Byron Scott. See you tomorrow. Good night.